Hey, what's up everybody? David Wood here once again for DavidWoodFX. This time to bring you a cool Gimp tutorial on how to make a Tweetie 2 or Twitter for iPhone logo, as you can see here in this example. This is a request from Gimper.net, so if you have a request for a tutorial, simply post over on the forum and I'll get back to you. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is open up a new file, and we want this to be square, 300 by 300. And right away we'll make a new layer, make it transparent. Now grab the rectangle tool, choose rounded corners. We'll set this up around 40 or 50. We'll see how that looks. We'll start over here and we'll click and drag and hold down shift to constrain the angle. Right there the edges are a little too round. 30 looks good for this example, or maybe even 25. And then we're going to take our gradient tool and switch around our foreground and background colors. So white is foreground, black is background. And from the top we want to click, go down, hold down control to constrain the angle, and pull it down quite a ways, because this is going to be going from white to gray. And then we can choose select none, layer, auto crop layer, and then use the alignment tool and just center that up. Next, let's change this background so that we can see it a little bit better. There, that looks pretty good. Okay, going back to the logo. Next, create another new layer, make it transparent, and take the ellipse tool. You come over here and just make a shape sort of like a speech bubble. And we'll just fill that with gray. And then we can pick select none. We're going to come over here and grab our pen tool, zoom in here a little bit, and start working on the tail of your speech bubble. Hit enter to make a selection and fill that with gray. And okay, that looks fine for this example. Alright, that looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and auto crop this layer, and then center it, and then go ahead and do layer to image size again. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this background layer, and the top one, first take the speech bubble, right click, choose alpha to selection, take the second layer, go to edit, clear, and that erased through. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the selection tool, and this is why we kept this layer. We can just right click, choose alpha to selection that, and there's a color that's already been picked out. It's this kind of dark blue. The HTML code is 4C5463, and we're going to go ahead and fill that. And then we're going to just go to our select menu, go to shrink, and shrink that down just so it's on the inside of the border. Select invert and clear again. Okay, so now it won't show around the edges. We'll go ahead and take this layer that we're working on, take the icon's outer layer, duplicate it, and take this top layer and go to filters, map, bump map, and I've already got it in my recently used. Choose that layer, and there you have the effect. Now we can change some of these settings, because we want the bottom here to have the light side and the top here to have a dark edge. So you can use the offset features to get that right, and then if you just change the Y offset to a negative value, you can see it brings that edge down like that, and that looks pretty good. Yeah, okay, and hit OK. And that looks pretty good, except for the fact that it beveled the edge, which we don't want. So that's why we have this backup copy down here. Rectangle tool, select, invert the selection, hit delete. Okay, that got rid of those edges. And this doesn't look the best, but that's okay for this example. We can go ahead and merge that down with the other layer, and that looks pretty good. Now what we can do is take this top layer and go to Filters, Light and Shadows, and choose Drop Shadow. And in here we just want to turn off the X axis because that will move it left or right. Just leave the Y. And we can fool around with these settings a little bit. I'm going to try offset of 10, blur 25, and opacity at 90. Okay, that looked pretty good. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. Okay. Okay, now we can go back to the layer, go back to drop shadow, only this time give the offset a negative number, bring down the blurring, and lower the opacity. Because in the original it's got this tiny bit of what's the word? A tiny bit of a shadow on the bottom half here. Okay, and that didn't look right, so we'll try this again. Let's do an even lesser blur, or more of a blur, but a smaller offset, and lower the opacity some more. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's see how we're standing up to this. We're getting pretty close. This background is definitely wrong. It should be a lot darker down here. I'm just going to grab my gradient tool, set the blend mode to overlay, lock the alpha of the layer, and just kind of darken this up a little bit. It's way too bright. Okay, there we go. That looks a lot better. These shadows on the outside are also wrong, so if you want to go into those and just make a selection like we did before, invert the selection and delete again, then you can do another shadow, make it more appropriate, and then just erase the center part because you've already got one there. But I'm just going to leave that alone. And what else? We have this gray layer here. We can try changing the blend mode of that to overlay to darken that up a little bit. And this is turning out nothing like my example. Oh well, you guys get the basic idea. And I know, duplicate this layer, take the top layer, make this white. Okay, and then just move it down just a little bit to overlap the beveled edge here, and set the blend mode to overlay. And as you can see, that really brightened it up. That's why we need this other gray layer. Select this layer, alpha to selection, the original gray layer, take the white one, or select the white one and go to edit, clear, and then select none. So now it's only affecting that, and then you can just lower the opacity of that. Looks pretty cool. And I think we are basically done. One last thing, I'm just going to change the background because I really don't like that blue. Just change it to carbon fiber because that's cool. And that is pretty much it. Still not satisfied with this gradient that I made, because before I was told that it was too dark down here, so this time I tried to make it lighter and it didn't exactly work out. But whatever, you guys can fool around with it. It's a pretty simple technique. I hope you guys have learned something from this tutorial, because I am obviously babbling. But I guess that is it for this tutorial. My name's David Wood, DavidWoodFX, and I will see you guys next time.